server which require is DHCP server. Why? Because this DHCP server will assign IPs to all our client in the network when they try to connect to the network. But in our environment we have different VLANs, so we need to create different subnets. Again, who gonna play this role? In real world you will see Windows server. Normally you will see DHCP server, which is a recommended one. Never use layer 3 switch, router or firewall as a DHCP server. Best solution is to use server as a DHCP, Windows server. So this is our Windows server 230. I already take remote desktop. Next thing, we need to add a role and feature. Next is DHCP server. Here is DHCP server and click add features. Click next. Click next. No need to do anything. Click next and install. So it will install DHCP server and then we will configure DHCP. Okay, so it will take some time. So let me show you from slides. So I'm here. I say add role and feature. Either you can go to manage and add role and features. It's up to you. Then you need to choose role base. Then select server. Okay, and select DHCP server. Click next. Click next and install DHCP server. When you click to complete, what you will need to do, okay, by the way I missed that one, you need to activate DHCP server. I will show you here. Then later on we will open DHCP same like a DNS, and we need to create 4 scopes because we have 4 VLAN 10, 20, 30 and 40. No need to create VLAN 100 scope because this is our management subnet, and management subnet is normally static IP. We never use DHCP for management purpose. Okay, so no need. We just need to create 4 different scopes. Okay, so let me go back to my DHCP and install. That's the thing which you need to do. So when the feature is installed, again you can complete DHCP configuration from here, either from notification area. They say complete DHCP configuration. It's not yet done. Keep in mind, sometimes you miss this one and then DHCP will not work. So click on DHCP configuration, complete DHCP configuration, click next, and who will be the user? So test. If you have alternative user, you can specify and commit changes, and it has to be done. So authorization is done and this is done, because if it is not authorized it will not assign IP to the host. So keep in mind, it's very important. A small thing normally you will miss them, and click close. So now it's done. Okay, so we already done DHCP. Now we need to configure DHCP. You can go from here and either you can go to tool, there will be DHCP, and open DHCP server. And this is our server test.local. We need IPv4. Okay, let me maximize. So there is no scope, and right click on here and say new scope. Click next, and we will assign name VLAN 10 so that we know that this is for VLAN 10 scope, and description whatever you like. Start IP will be 192.168.10.1 and IP is 10.254. This is our VLAN 10 subnet 24, and also this is a subnet mask, whatever you like, in this format, either in this format. Next. Now exclusion, if you want to exclude some IP, yes, normally in real world you will see we are not going to assign first 10 IP. Maybe you will need later on to assign to some server or for some other purpose. So I exclude first 10 IP and click add. They don't assign these 10 IPs. Click next. 8 days by default, lease duration is 8 days. Click next. Yes, I want to configure these options now, and click next. Gateway, we will configure gateway later on and switch. So gateway will be the first IP. I believe yes, first IP we will assign to, sorry, it's a 10. We will assign first IP as a gateway. Normally gateways last IP or first IP in real world. So it's up to you. In my environment, I am going to use first IP as a gateway 10.1 and click next. DNS is this one. We already know this is our DNS 100.230. We just configure, so it's okay, and click next. When server we don't need, and yes, activate scope now and finish. So one scope is ready. Now right click, new scope, click next, and now this time I would say VLAN 20 and VLAN 20 is the description. Start IP 192.168.20.1 this time, and end IP 192.168.20.254. Next, exclusion 192.168.20.1, 192.168.20.10. I want to exclude first 10 IPs. Click next, click next, click next, and gateway is 192.168.20.1 first IP. And click next and next, next, and finish. Two scopes are ready, which is active, VLAN 10 and 20. Now I need a third scope. Okay, next, VLAN 30. VLAN 30 is description. Next, 192.168.30.1, 192.168.30.254, and click next. Exclusion 192.168.30.1 and 192.168.30.10. First 10 IP is excluded. Next, 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 and gateway is 192.168.30.1. Click add, next, 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 and finish. Last scope is 40. So next, VLAN 40. VLAN 40 is description 192.168.40.1, 192.168.40.254. Okay, next, 192.168.40.1 and 192.168.40.10. Exclude first 10 IPs. Next, 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 gateway is 192.168.40.1. add next, 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 and finish. Our 4 scopes are ready. If there is a this one, it will be activated after a while. Either you can refresh, it will be okay now. Yeah, it's okay. So these are my 4 scopes. Let me show you. So if I go to address pool, so first address pool is 10.1 up to 10.254. First 10 IP is reserved. And let me show you second scope I created, address pool 20. Okay, and third one I created 30, and fourth one I created scope is 40. Okay, and all of them are using first IP as a gateway. And DNS, if you go to scope option, so they are using DNS our server, first IP as a router. That's it. And domain as a test.local. They will assign these details as well. If you want, you can add more detail as well, but it's okay. No need to do anything. And that's it. I believe we don't need to do anything. Let me go back to DHCP. So we create scope, VLAN 10, VLAN 20, and VLAN 30. And if I go to end of the document to show you VLAN 10, 20, and 30. That's it. And these are the gateway and also DNS and all those details. They will assign router, DNS, and domain name as well. This DHCP. So this is how to configure DHCP server.